make a point after point after point. God.
Double it up.
9 of us on the show. Shut the up.
They trying to silence me too.
I don't know.
Oh, hey, Chatter.
The pecking order is being reestablished on the pod, so let's talk about it. Mona, first up, she shows up late to the pod, coffee in hand. And I know y'all probably saying that doesn't even matter. But this is where I would say Mel took it way more serious. She was on time, or as she sometimes said behind the scenes, she was early, she was writing on the board. And you already know, as a coach would say, if you're early, you're on time. And if you're on time, you're late. And this really matters because coming in 13 minutes in where they were getting warmed up, it can disrupt the pod. It can disrupt the energy, the vibe in the room. And it's been a couple times now, which is making me wonder, is she really taking this opportunity serious? Or does she feel like because she lives further away, she has more wiggle room with Joe? Because there's running behind, and then there's I still had time to stop and get some food or some coffee on the way here. And I can just imagine Joe behind the scenes saying, well, if you hadn't stopped, you'd be on time. Unless that's what his joke was about, you see the McDonald's. And of course, my first instinct is to look at Flip because you already know he's going to be the one to call it out, right? But instead of joking her, he actually helps her get adjusted, sets up her mic, and he gives her room to get settled with a smirk on his face, noticeably so. But it does read like someone who just may have had a very real behind the scenes meeting or conversation after he and Mark's clash, and is now on his best behavior and he's being contained. But I'm wondering, how long will that last? Meanwhile, back to Mona. She might have been late, but she does arrive fully present and giving pushback. She comes in with research and even clarifying on topics what was true and false. And as the conversation picks up and they progress to the topics, she's weighing in on them, and especially about the one with the DoorDasher making a delivery, because they almost seem to give the guy a pass.
That's all I was saying he did wrong. You can't lay on the couch in front of the door.
Not in America.
I don't agree.
I'm with you there, but that's not how I originally interpreted it.
That's what I heard. That's what I read.
The devil's in the details here.
And she reframed it from a woman's perspective of different ages and why that would be jarring to a woman. And Ish notably agreed with her. One of the things I like about Mona is she doesn't wait to be asked for her opinion. She's going to give you her opinion. Even if they cut her off, she is going to call one of their names to redirect the attention back to her question or her take, and she knows how to get her viewpoint in.
What I was trying to spit out was...
And it's at this very moment, after this DoorDash conversation, it feels like the honeymoon stage has definitely ended, and she lands very quickly on the board where Mel may have gotten tired of rolling the dice and playing. You can see Flip waving his hand in the background. I don't know if he's trying to get Joe's attention or maybe signaling her to like wrap it up.
I'll take something from you.
Okay, that's the end of you. This bitch, boy, she can make a point after point after point. God.
But either way, it's confirmation that the dynamic is changing. Joe tells her, whether playful or not,
9 of us on the show. Shut the
It's a runway.
and how many times did he tell Mel, girl, okay, that's enough, right? So it feels like we have just landed back on that same page. Now, could this be Joe's way of establishing rank and order? Like I have mentioned in previous videos, like Mona, we know you were used to running your own pod, but make a point or two and then let others respond and also make their points, pass the ball. I mean, they wanted a woman to chime in on topics, so you can't pick and choose when she and how she wants to speak to a topic she feels wasn't being addressed from a woman's perspective properly. Now, she does admit that she had to learn what an A mic even was.
I didn't even know what an A mic was. I had to learn that. These ain't teach me that.
Well, it's me.
Which makes sense coming from someone who, she's on her own platform. She's on her own pod.
I know, it's the simplest thing. Up here, it's me. It's
But there's no such thing as a B mic.
And she's used to being the center. But Joe does quickly remind her that he's the A mic and she can be A minus.
Where's the letter of mine?
Can you please don't do that? You try to open up different gates.
I want to know.
You are a Mike.
Right here.
You an A minus, Mike.
But instead of accepting that, she says she'd rather be C Mike, which left me puzzled. But I guess in her words, she says she's not doing all that. So what does this translate to?
No, that's not gonna work.
Or B plus.
I'll take a C. That's it.
All
That's
right,
all
or
I'm willing
C.
to do.
And what do you think the pod pecking order is or should be?
Mike, it's a B mic, it's a
C mic, a D
it's
mic,
B
a E mic.
So how do you know
letters
that?
you need.
Like, how do you figure that out?
Because I definitely have noticed Ish and Ice seem to have fallen back a little bit. I don't know if that's to give room for everybody to adjust, or they just have taken on more of an observation role than wanting to debate topics. I don't know. It just feels a little off. It feels a little weird. And we already know Flip and Mark are trying to play nice with each other. As a matter of fact, with this new demeanor Flip has for, the past couple pods, Mona even looks back at him and calls Flip an E-Mike.
That girl was on the runway.
What letter is you?
I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
And no one in the room challenged her on it. They actually start laughing. But the newness is wearing off. And we're no longer watching Mona get comfortable, but everyone find their starting positions. This is no longer about is she fitting in? Is the audience going to like her? It's more about where is she placing herself in the dynamic? And if she's the C mic,
I'm C Mike, right? Or D?
That's all you
then who is the B mic, and so on, which speaks to how she sees herself. And she even goes on to say, y'all might be used to this David Ruffin mess, but I'm David Ruffin. I am cracking up laughing. But they were not. There was very little laughter there.
You used to this David Ruffin. I am David Ruffin. I'm working on it.
From there, she takes another shot at Flip and says he makes 1 point and everybody wants to say good job. Oh my goodness, Mona.
Flip made a good point. Everybody said, good job, Flip. That's a good one. The whole room's a good man. Damn it. I like that one. The whole room set up, boy.
No, don't touch me.
I like it.
Do you think they're just taking it easy on Flip after the Mark clash and just trying to build him up a little bit? Because Flip is often the one to make the room laugh. And with Mona filling up that space, the conversation might soon turn to how much space she is actually allowed to take up, especially with Joe just telling her to shut up. But she does clap back. That's the funny thing. You're not going to mute Mona. It's not going to happen. She is going to say how she feels and speak her piece. And I love that about her. She's not going to shrink herself into space. It seems like Mel and Mona in that seat are serving two different purposes. And I said before, I would love to see Mel come back into the fold. I still do miss her on there, even though she was tight-lipped about some things. She did bring her own perspective. Mona, I believe she understands the audience a bit more and she has her own perspective. She has her own stories, which could make her even more valuable instead of rotational. So from here, the question becomes, which way is this going to go? Do you think Joe will loosen the leash, so to speak, and start sparring with her instead of checking her like he just did? She'll be looked at as a counterweight the way Ish eventually was and is. And when he is gone, whether you like to admit it or not, it is very noticeable. I don't like the pods that Ish is not on. And if the same comes true for Mona, it could make her essential to the pod, and we may see her on more episodes than we do now. But if he decides to trim or clip her wings early, cutting her runway, or start telling her to mute up like he did Mel, Mona, I think, is going to fight back. Or she might shorten her stay, because she did mention she likes short contracts, because what if she doesn't end up liking the people?
Because if I don't like you or to move wrong, I don't want to stay for long. So that's why we have to keep it short, so I know I still like you.
Yeah, I hear that too.
I don't want to be around it.
And if Mona starts giving pushback, will this lead to her podmates becoming irritated by her and doing the little snickering thing that they like to do? Because especially if they can't keep up, that's competition. I mean, I like how Mona expounds on topics and she tries to give her perspective. Like I said, she researches the topics. But what happens when Mona and Joe try to take the runway at the same time to make points? And what happens when Flip reactivates and powers up, or her and Ish clash on a topic the men versus women thing that he and Mel used to do. One thing is already clear is who is the A mic. And with Mona saying she wants to be the C mic, even though she showed up late, one thing I give her, she didn't sink into the couch. She walked in, she took up space, she used her voice. And in this space of podcasting, your voice is currency. So Chatterboxx fam, I want to hear from y'all. Do you think Mona is earning her spot on that couch? And even deeper than that, how would you rank the pod members? You already know what to do. Let's talk about it in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and go check out my Patreon.